Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Insecure Season 5, Episode 5, Surviving, okay? Review. Yeah, now this one was interesting. A lot of game changes in this one. A lot of game changes, mainly with Molly though, Because it starts off, Molly is riding some random dude's face. And I want y'all to remember that kind of pops up later on in the show. She's riding the face and making him spell out her name with his tongue. So, actually a good method. But anyway, she's riding his face, and after she finished, she reaches her climax and everything, and she rolls off of him. And she had on a specific dress while she was doing this. Remember that part. So she gets her phone buzzing, and she saw that she's missed like three phone calls. So, and it's from her brother. So she picks it up, and all of a sudden she's in the hospital with the same dress on that she had sex in, right? And then she's in a hospital waiting room with her family. Her mother had a stroke. And it was kind of jacked up. A doctor came in and told them that they needed to say their goodbyes, and the family went in, but it was the wrong woman. And they turned to leave, and the real family came in and everything. They just looked at each other. Which, that particular scene, I thought it was a swipe at the overall medical system and what they be doing. Sometimes they don't get some stuff right. Some people might saw it as comedy. I thought it was like one of those low-key digs at the system. But anyway, right? So, they take her to the right room, and she's knocked out. They didn't use the word coma, but they were asking, they were concerned about, what was going to happen and everything. So, and that was major. That was major. And then in the meantime, Issa and Nathan, they're at his place, and they're just talking. Apparently they had sex and everything, and they were talking about, what to do that day. Nathan, being a barber, he said he had 2 cancellations already, and Issa was saying, oh, well, she usually has lunch with Molly and everything. And they're just talking, shooting the breeze, but then Issa gets a phone call from Molly. So next, they're at the hospital. They are at the hospital and everything. And, Molly tells Issa what happened. And one of the things, remember that Molly had that sexy dress on and everything. And so Issa offers to switch clothes, switch what they're wearing, and, go back to Molly's place and stuff. And, just to take it back, get her all out of the clothes and everything. So from that point, Issa goes to Molly's place, and, there's a little bit, her and Nathan are still connected. Nathan drove her back to the place. They had Molly's place, and, they decide, they see Molly's dog there, Flavor Flav, decide to take him for a walk. And while they're taking him for a walk, Issa is FaceTiming with her mom. And then her mom, she notices that Issa is talking with somebody right there. She wants to see them, and, an interesting scene. She was like, who's that? And Nathan identified himself as Issa's boyfriend. So it's like, okay, all right. And, since they had lost while they were talking, the dog got off the leash and just ran and did his thing and everything. So they around looking for Flavor Flav and everything. They worried about that. And Nathan, he tells a story about how, when him and his brother were young, the dog had got away, and they were concerned about, what the father would do. But Nathan said, yeah, the dog will find its way back home. And so they just went back to in front of the apartment and just waited, and they were talking and everything. And then the dog comes out of nowhere and everything. And, you know, because Nathan was so supportive, Issa said to Nathan, that's why I love you. Right. And then, you know, and they give a little kiss right there. But it's one of the things with that is how she said it. You know, I could say I love someone, but not in love with them. But how she said it and everything. And it was just like, it wasn't that big a deal. But maybe Nathan took it that way. You know, it already identified himself to her mother as her boyfriend. So that was an interesting dynamic. And one thing with that, with the Issa part of it, the Issa part, just focusing on that, it was like that dynamic of how they were kind of clicking together. I ain't like Nathan's drip, but but you know, they were clicking together. He was supportive. He was there with her and everything. And you know, it had a good feel to it. And, you know, I had said before, they probably a natural couple anyway, though other people don't agree with that. But just keep in mind, that's how it was then. There's something that happens later on. But getting back to Molly, you know, there was a lot of little stuff with that. Like one of the things was that Molly got a call from work. She was supposed to go into work, and she had already called and said she couldn't make it in. And then there was an important case that a boss at work, he was like, well, you know, can I give this to somebody else? And despite everything, Molly was like, I can still take care of this. And got a commentary about that later on and everything. I got a brief commentary about that. But then, you know, getting back to the whole thing with her mom, they find out that her mom had a stroke before, but the father just didn't say anything. He didn't say anything to Molly. And that was an issue that was coming out. Molly hadn't spent a lot of time really seeing what was up with the mother, talking with her and everything. And also with that, the doctor came in and said the test indicated that the stroke may cause possible paralysis. Now, I can actually relate to that personally. I remember when my grandmother had a stroke. She was invalid for 4 years after her stroke. So, and that was a lot. That was a lot. And also one thing about that, just on a personal thing, that kind of changed the direction of my life in many ways. And I saw the same thing happening with Molly. Because, you know, Issa got back to the hospital and Molly talked about how she could have did more for her mother. She could have did more for her mother. Indeed, there was a statement that I wrote down that Molly said that I thought was very key. Now, you know, when I usually do these, I'll write some notes, but I specifically rewinded the thing and said, hold up, I gotta get that statement down. Molly specifically said, I was busy hooking up with some random guy while my mom was having a stroke. You could tell you could tell there's something shifted with Molly. Indeed, Issa at some point, you know, they were in there talking. Issa said, you know, I got you, I'm there for you. And Issa, you know, got up to go get them some coffee. And Molly, she just sat on the bed looking at her mom and she just put her head, you know, right down on her lap and everything. You know, you could tell she was very concerned. Even throughout the episode, she's asking the doctor a lot of questions and everything, letting them know, hey, she's there for them. And that was, like I said, I'm going to talk about that in a second. But Issa, and this brings up another point, another angle. It wasn't a part of the major story, but it was brought in at the end. When Issa went out to go get some coffee, she happened to look into, the hospital entrance and everything, the admittance desk or whatever you call it. And Condola was there with baby Elijah. But then Lauren stood up. And, they gave each other a look. They just gave each other a look. Now, I thought that was an interesting scene because she's, loved Nathan, however that actually turns out. But then she sees this other guy, and Lawrence had that look like, he's still feeling her. But Lawrence was with Condola. And, you know, Condola didn't have like that usual mean look. It was like they were together. I was like, I think Master Teacher BGS called it. Yeah, Condola had a plan. Condola had a plan. We'll see more about that from the previews for next week. I don't think that's going to be the major thing, but they're going to have to get there. Okay, they back together and stuff or something. At least calm enough they can go to a doctor's appointment together. And Condola had that happy look. So that's one thing. That's one thing. And basically Condola got her man. But getting back to Molly, and that was the main thing about this episode. Think about the, people, like I always tell people, I'm more than anything else, I'm a professional writer. I've been paid for articles. You know, I have 9 books on the market, and especially my fiction books. That's actually what I'm better at writing, is fiction. And that's a good story angle. Think about how she started out. She's having sex. She's having sex with this guy, you know, just doing her thing. You know, random guy. Random guy. Indeed, he even texted her while she was at the hospital, and she was just like, whatever. She didn't even like answer or anything. You know, she's having sex with this random guy. All of a sudden, the most important woman in her life, her mother, is going through something. And then, you know, she's rethinking stuff. She's like, well, wait a minute, I haven't been there for her. You know, she didn't even know her mother had a stroke before. She didn't know she had a stroke before. And that's significant because think about it. Always look at this from more of an archetype thing. How many women, men too, but some women, because that's what she represents, a professional woman. You know, she got this corporate job, she got all this money and everything, but not staying as close to her mother as she would like. And, you know, she didn't have any issue with her mom or something, but she was totally caught up into her own shit. Her own shit is even, I believe, a good piece of writing to have her show up to the hospital in the same dress she had sex in. Hell, she might not have had on underwear. Let's just be real. It was that deep. In fact, you know, unless like during that, after that scene, she got off this guy's face and, you know, when she got that call, she just ran and got some. She was probably there without underwear. Now, think about the position. She worried about her mother passing away. I mean, she is very concerned. And then also, though, think about despite everything, she getting a call from her job. And she's, you know, saying, well, I can still do it. I can still take care of it. She's going through some stuff. See, she still got that professional, everything, but her mom might need some help. Now, I know this from personal experience. Only difference between us, though, I would be on like a government job, and whenever my grandmother had to go to the hospital again after her initial stroke, I was like, oh, gotta go. It's like, and the people understood because that's the real life thing. But Molly's at a crossroads. I think she's at a crossroads because one of the things she said to Issa about, you know, her mom wanted grandkids from her and everything. Now she's going to be really rethinking her life. Now it's going to be interesting how they go forward from here. Because think about Molly. You know, she looked like, you know, at first it looked like she was just going to totally change her life, but all she did was just change her hair. She's still old Molly, sleep with some random dude. You know, she probably could have met him anyway, the way she rolled. All of a sudden, you know, the most important person in her life is on her deathbed, or seemingly on her deathbed. Let me put it like that, because there's, of course, that scene earlier where they say, hey, say your goodbyes. Oh, Molly was busting in there. That was a big concern. And then her mom having a stroke before, and then she's going to have some issues. She might not be able to walk anymore. No telling. She can't be the same person. So that was the main gist of this episode as far as the character, because, you know, it's more about the character. The characters, the character arcs, and what that represents. How many professional women have been in that position? You know, they doing their thing, having a good time. All of a sudden, something happens to an important family member, and that's something to think. And you know, that's not just women. Because, like I said, when my grandmother had a stroke, that kind of changed the direction. Yeah, I might not have liked Rom before then. I put it like that. I was a different person. So, you know, it just changed my perspective on some stuff. So that's a major thing. And anybody who's gone through that, they had a parent who had a stroke, heart attack, something like that. And the worst thing, like maybe killed suddenly. Plenty of people have had a relative lost to COVID, things of that nature. It can make you rethink some things. Now it's going to be interesting going forward how Molly is going to be. So, and of course you got the other storylines. Issa's still feeling something for Lawrence. Issa still, and Lawrence still feeling something for Issa, you know? And of course Nathan, he's ready to be there. He's ready to be Issa's man. So, you know, they got that to go along. But I would say the most interesting character dynamic is Molly. Molly, okay? She represents that professional woman and everything, but all of a sudden she got to rethink everything, maybe rethink her lifestyle, all the things she's doing. So I'm gonna give that was better than last week's episode because it's more of a serious thing, more of a serious life dynamic that anybody can relate to. So it was something worth thinking about. It was worthy. It wasn't like some blah episode because it's getting you into some deeper thoughts. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good for someone to think. And there's a lot of stuff. Life doesn't go simply. I wish it did. So anyway, that's it for this review. Stay tuned next week. Well, we'll see how everything else is going. From the previews and stuff, it'll be focused still on Nathan and Issa. Issa professionally, she gets to see, encounter Crenshaw again. Nathan's having some issues at his barbershop with someone because one of the other barbers just called. You say, yeah, that's why you bipolar, something like that. So we'll see. So anyway, that's it for this episode review. Get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.